Welcome, everyone. Happy Saturday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Saturday, June 7th, 2025. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? Can I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread for today? First two cards we are starting our day off with today are our Wheel of Fortune in its reversal in combination with our Two of Swords in its reversal. I think one of the things that's really beautiful that we're seeing right now has to do with, I want to just kind of work through this right now, because one of the things that we're seeing is working into this Sagittarius full moon energy. And I love this because it says to me, especially with this Wheel of Fortune in its reversal with the Two of Swords, is the intention and the intuition of the self that leads to deeper clarity. One of the things that we identify and recognize, and we just kind of talk about this, there are often those moments on our path that we can't see things, we can't understand them, right? And, one of the things I really love about, and I absolutely adore Saturn in Aries. Why do I adore the fact that Saturn is in Aries? Because it's the recognition point that that Aries often come here to heal their relationship to time, right? This is why Aries are always so clock obsessed. There's often that feeling that Aries have about pushing against time. And what is, and the thing I also think is kind of wild is I feel like Saturn moving into Aries is almost like all of us having like a Saturn return all at once. It's like a Saturn return all at once, because it changes our relationship to time, right? And that ability of recognizing, and I feel like in a way, Saturn in Aries is almost all of us maintaining the presence of the prescience that Aries often arrive with, which is the space of recognizing that time itself is energetically precious, right? And when we hold ourselves in a high space and we hold our time as energetically precious, right? We're very energetically selective in relationality to what we do with it. Right? We work in accordance to it. And in this way, I feel like this is that beautiful message that Saturn provides us as it moves into Aries, because Saturn basically is always saying, like, I'm your friend. You know what I mean? Like, I'm your friend. I'm not here. Like, I'm not here. I know you run away from me, but it's like a lot of that energy that says, like, I'm here to help you, right? Because it's like Saturn, like I've almost got this vision of the fact that like we see Saturn constantly approaching us, right? And we move away from them, like it's almost like that space. But then when Saturn arrives to us, it goes, I want to show you something, right? It's like I want to show you something, like I just want to give this to you so you can see it, right? And that's the beauty that we often recognize in our path work as we heal our relationship to time, because that ability of coming into the shifting of perspective, right? The maturation process in being able to see things, right? That is the gift that Saturn often provides us. And this is having a big impact right now, particularly like across all of the frequencies. And I think it also has a lot to do with the fact that we see recently that like over the last day or so, one of the big things we've also recognized is that Venus is crossing over into Taurus, and Venus wants to be in Taurus. Like that's just like, that's where it's like, it's exalted. You know what I mean? Like it's exalted there. So there's a lot of work that we see. And again, you may be feeling a little bit of this right now. If you've been feeling like a lot of this Gemini energy, right? If you've been feeling like a lot of this Gemini energy has just felt like a little bit like much for you, this may be starting to feel like there's a bit of that balance point, because especially with the fact that we've got Mercury and Jupiter about to move into Cancer, I feel like there's something very important that's coming through in relationality to the eclecticness that leads to elegance, right? Like working into that space. Now, for energy in separation, I keep on seeing that this is like a lot of the fruition of a lot of those magician partnerships that we were talking about. Why is this so important for a lot of those magician partnerships? Can I please get the center card in today's spread? Center card coming through today. Beautiful. 5 of Cups in its upright. Now, one of the things that we spoke about that's happening for a lot of these partnerships that are coming together right now, I keep on getting the message. I keep on getting the space of recognizing and identifying. It's working through the auric contradiction. Why do I keep on saying auric contradiction? Because for a lot of these energies, remember the reason I'm calling them magician partnerships. And this is when I read into the partnership cycles, they're going through cycles. Right? The recent partnership cycle we saw was occurring from between the time that Mars stationed direct up until the time that Mercury and Venus woke up behind Neptune. Those were all chariot partnerships. They were prioritizing reliability, right? Stability above everything. The stability of the relationship that allows one to go into the inner sanctum of the self. A lot of the energy that we see that is occurring right now, these magician partnerships that are coming together, have to do specifically with the recognition of authenticity, right? Illusion-free zone, the desire to move towards counterpart and be able to be in one's authenticity. Now, that's hard work because, again, a healthy manifestation is one that we understand that we need to work on something in order to move towards it. So what are these relationships? What are these individuals doing as they're coming towards one another? They're healing from the falsehood of rejection. They're finding their own majesty, the work that we saw during Taurus season. The majesty that says, if I'm good with me, right? Doesn't mean I'm perfect. Doesn't mean you're perfect. But if you're good with the self, and you know what it is that you're working on, when you're good with yourself and you understand your assignment, you're basically operating in the majesty of the self, right? That's you operating at your full majesty because you're like, I know who I am and I know what I'm working on. And if someone sees you in that vibration and they go, well, that's their problem. That's their, why is it their problem? Because we cannot control how others perceive us in our majesty, which is to say that if there's something, I can't go into you and change how you feel about me. Neither can you change how I feel about you. The only thing that we can effectively control, that we have the ability to control within another that they feel when they see us, is confusion, because confusion can always be met with clarity. So this is a lot of the energy that's coming towards each other. And what are they saying? I know it sounds cliche, but they're saying, I like me. They're saying, I like me. The healing mantra coming into these relationships is, I like me. And this is potentially also because these are relationships of someone healing from situations where it felt like they had to contort in order to perceive and stay in a relationship. Those relationships where in another person, sometimes we feel like those situations where we're like, they said they loved me, but I was never really clear as to whether they liked me, right? Because this is the big message that's coming through during this Gemini season, which is we go to relationship to change. If you want to go into a stagnation space, don't be in a relationship. Change is all you get in a relationship. It's all about changing. But when we're navigating change in healthy relationships, it feels like it is transformational, right? It feels like we are finding ourselves. But when we're not in healthy relationship, it feels like we are contorting. We start to lose ourselves. We stop being able to recognize ourselves. We don't like what we see. So this is why this is an auric contradiction that is leading to the solidification of these relationships. Because if these are relationships wherein someone is getting to know each other, and I see even now that a lot of these energies have been moving towards each other very slowly with a lot of discernment, healing from the past, letting Saturn do its work in relationality to recognizing the manifestation that one articulates, but one shows the fact that one is true within it or moving towards it from a place of self-discipline or regulation of the self, the identification point of the work that we do in that way. We see even now that modality wherein someone is articulating something about the self and someone corrects them. Someone says, I just got to pause. You keep saying this thing about yourself and I'm just not seeing it, right? There's something that you keep on saying, but the time that we've spent together, I'm just not seeing it apparent. This is the auric contradiction that is indicative of either one of two things happening. Either someone who has done the work so much on the self that something that they used to feel was a negative is no longer evident within the self, right? The affirmation of the work of the self, or this is a negative thought form that another person has been carrying that they had to sustain in order to maintain an unhealthy relationship dynamic. And the contradiction of them carrying another person's unhealthy thought form into the new relationship is being cleared, because it is the recognition that it is not something that is true about the self, but something that one had to feel about the self in order to continue to perpetuate a relationship that was not for the self. This is why we see that this is the culmination of the manifestation goal of the energy seeking authenticity towards those relationships, because the authenticity of the self is being made even more authentic via those conversations. Continuing to get clarity, fourth and fifth cards in our 5-card spread for today. We have here our Queen of Wands in its reversal, in combination with our 6 of Wands in its upright. Now, this is a lot of the energy coming into divine union. You'll remember that these are the chariot partnerships that were created. These are the chariot partnerships that are working on understanding what the assignment is. And they're working through the difficulty of the fact that healing is not linear. Why do we say that healing is not linear? Because you can't maintain the same vibration in the space of healing. You can't be like, oh, look, I found this thing. As long as I do this thing, I'm healed. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Healing is about adapting to what you need in order to facilitate deeper healing. This is why we talk. I know you get sick of it. You're like, I'm not healed yet. No, you're never going to be healed. What are you talking about? I know it's continual. I know it's just the way it is, but it's positive in that way, because it is the continual healing that is transformative, right? It is working in that space. And what's difficult for a lot of the energy right now that's coming into divine union is like they're going through that mind-bending moment of discovering that the same thing that they needed to learn in order to find healthy partnership, the same thing, the very thing that the armor that they used that allowed them the condition by which they were able to find the healthy relationship, now they got to get rid of, because now it's acting as a block in the relationship. The boundaries, right? Because it's a conversation we keep on hearing as to the difference between boundaries and standards, which is we hold a boundary and a standard. How does a boundary become a standard? When we have a standard, okay, it's the shifting nature of a boundary and a standard. When we have a standard and another person pushes against it, it becomes a boundary, right? Because it is the space, the moment that a standard is not honored, it has to become a boundary. Welcome to Mars and Leo. And so in that way, again, you hold the standards to discover when you need boundaries. You hold the standard in order to discover when you need boundaries. Simultaneous to that, when you have a boundary and another person holds it for you, you no longer need to hold it as a boundary, because you recognize that the standard is being honored. A standard that is held by another person is another person that recognizes and honors your standards as they would your own. So that is why we see that a lot of the energy right now, deep within divine union, this very same thing that they used to have to push up against to be able to perpetuate and find relationship, they're now trying to move away from. They're moving into, this is chariot energy that was moving into, that was in high priestess, that is now moving into strength. Strength card is not about getting strong. It's about vulnerability of self, how hard it is, the strength that is needed in order to become vulnerable. And so we see even now that this is the energy that's working in that space, and it's having different impacts on masculine and feminine, right? This is masculine working on trust, the blind trust in terms of recognizing and identifying the space, that what it takes to be able to be vulnerable to feminine. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. For feminine, this is feeling that sense of strength as it relates to the trust it takes of a masculine that holds you in energetic reverence. Continuing to get clarification between our Wheel of Fortune in its reversal and combination with our Two of Swords, to get clarification of energy that is deep within divine union. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Ace of Swords. So for a lot of the energy right now, deep within divine union, this is a lot. I keep on saying this is a lot of the transformation of the manifestation goal in positive ways, right? Why this is the expansion process of a manifestation goal. Why do we see that for a lot of the energy right now, deep within divine union, the manifestation goal itself is transforming? Because what do we say here? What is the difference between a wish and a manifestation? A manifestation is not about gimme energy. It's not about getting stuff. A good transformation helps you see things that you could not see before as we journey towards it, which this is often why it feels like we never effectively reach the point of arriving to a manifestation, because one of the indicative points about the fact that we reach it is it starts to transform. It starts to change. As we change our perspective, so too do our expansion points grow and maturate. So this is the natural progression of some of this energy that is maturing in relationship. And as they mature, so too do their manifestations. They start to expand. They start to adjust. And it is moving. And this is what's beautiful about it. This is that sublimity, the sublime nature of a healthy manifestation that we share with counterpart that's in alignment to us, which is the mutual adaptation or transformation of the manifestation in a way that feels like it navigates the growth of the self in the process. Continuing to get clarification between our Two of Swords in its upright in combination with our Five of Cups in its upright. One card to clarify. Ace of Wands in its upright. So for a lot of the energy right now, oh my gosh, this is wild. We got double aces out. We got double aces out. This is beautiful. If you have an opportunity to, make sure that you head over to our Substack today to take a look at today's spread. It's really beautiful right now, because it just keeps on saying to me, there's something really beautiful that's happening right now in relationality to alignment for masculine and feminine energy. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. And for a lot, I keep on saying, for a lot of the energy right now in separation, this is the formation. I keep on hearing the last couple of days, there's energy shifting into union. These are strong indicators. I've been seeing this ever since yesterday. I was reading for this yesterday and today. There's a lot of energy shifting into union. And I keep on seeing that the reason that we're seeing that the energy is shifting into union, especially energy in separation, is it's the auric contradiction that allows for the clarity of the self, that feels like a reformation of the self, that is affirming and solidifying these partnerships and relationships, because they're recognizing that they're acting as clear mirrors for one another, right? And this is what it looks like for masculine and feminine, right? This is that modality of being able to feel like this is the energy that says, you see me, you truly see me. Because even in the space that they move something away from the self that they've been carrying, the observation of the clarifying statements or the clarification that another person is able to provide allows for, like I keep on saying, like these are a lot of those relationships that are awakening into the relationality of one another, because they're feeling at this moment that they are each other's champions, right? Like this is a lot of that energy, like moving into that space, right? And this is the energy that's almost saying, like, this is beautiful, because these are the magician energy saying, this is my energetic champion, because that is the space of, again, recognizing someone that sees us with clarity and even helps us see ourselves even more clearly. This brings us into the energy moving into divine union. So for a lot of the energy right now moving into divine union, I keep on seeing that this is a lot of energy moving deeper into divine union. Why is the energy moving deeper into divine union today? Because for a lot of the energy, recognizing and identifying that work, being able to articulate upon that, being able to identify. Remember how we said that ability, right? Like, do you see what's happening here? This is the transformation. Look, this is beautiful. This is the transformation of the boundary that is now becoming the standard, right? This is the work that we saw that the chariot partnerships are doing as they move deeper into union, because it is the deepening of the vulnerability, becoming each other's exception to the rule, right? The ability to be able to understand that the healthy relationship is not one that we need to have boundaries because we understand that another person honors our standards. This is the deepening of the intimacy that's leading to even I keep on seeing like that moving deeper into so we've got energy and separation right now that's moving into divine union. We've got energy was moving into divine union that's deep within divine union. And for a lot of the energy right now deep within divine union, this is the transformation of the new manifestation goal, right? The articulation of the point of success that allows for the deepening investment in terms of the transformation of what those things are. It's the fruition, as it were. Continuing to get clarification between our Five of Cups in its upright in combination with our Queen of Wands in its upright. Boom, we got that Chariot energy. This spread is fantastic. This spread is fantastic today. A lot of alignment. It's an alignment day. It's a heavy alignment day. So I just keep on seeing that there's a lot of energy that's moving. There's a lot of energy that's moving into like the deepening of energetic connections. And there's something really, I keep on seeing there's something very beautiful or elegant about that work right now. And I keep on hearing the word elegant that's coming through, because what we're effectively identifying is I keep on seeing, and I think that this is beautiful too, because when we see this here, like I want to show you the symbiotic nature of the cards that we're identifying here, okay? Because here, I want to show you this, okay? You see this two of swords with the Ace of Swords here and the combination of the wands, all right? This is the Chariot card. Do you see this? This is the Chariot card. Because when we look at it in this perspective, that's what this is. This is the Two of Swords, and this is those two aces, right? So we keep on seeing that this is an alignment day. That's that ability to be able to identify and recognize what that work is and how we achieve that work. Now, for a lot of the energy right now in separation, I keep on seeing that I keep on seeing that for some of the energy right now in separation, this is either happening in the space of moving deeper into energetic connection, right? This is the ability to be able to recognize and identify what that work is that leads into the deepening of partnership. So there's a lot of energy that's coming into union right now. Also, I'm seeing that for a lot of energy in separation, this is healing the self via the identifying and recognizing what that self is. I just keep on seeing that there's something really important that we're recognizing here for a lot of the energy in separation, which has to do with finding the self in such a way that you feel like this is the energy that's like working into the space. Like either energy is moving into union today, or they're recognizing and identifying what it means to be able to operate in the space of one's own majesty, which is effectively articulating and recognizing that this is the energy that is healing from the falsehood of rejection, right? This is the energy that's working through that successful integration of that lesson that basically says, if I like who I am and I know what I'm working on, we operate in our majesty, right? And that's where we heal from the space of rejection, because rejection isn't something that finds us faulty so long as we're operating in those vibrations, which is a love of the self, right? The appreciation of the self, but not into the space that one becomes righteous and assumes one is perfect, but in recognizing the fact that you say, I like myself and I love my assignment. Continuing right now for energy that's coming deeper, that's moving deeper into divine union, clarification between our Queen of Wands in its upright in combination with our Six of Wands in its upright. One card to clarify. Boom, there's that Six of Swords today. There's some bittersweetness here. We're just going to talk about it. There's a little bit of this we're seeing here, a little bit of this bittersweetness that we're working through. But this is why, right? It has to do with the fact that it's not about working in the space of perfection. It's releasing, I keep on hearing, releasing frustration in ways that are supportive of the self, healing from bitterness, right? And for a lot of the energy right now, this is why I see that ability of being able to find vulnerability, being able to recognize and identify what that work feels like. I keep on hearing this is the energy that is both mourning, like I see the energy going, mourning the space of recognizing why they had to become so strong, right? I keep on hearing it's the agony and the ecstasy, the agony of understanding how painful it is to understand that something that you had to become so rigid upon is now what you have to release in order to move deeper into partnership. Because that's a lot of that work that we see that says, this is a lot of those warrior lessons, which says, like, what does the warrior often say? Working into strength. The hardest thing I've ever had to do was not become strong. It was learning how to surrender, learning how to become soft again, learning how to allow myself to become vulnerable. Because that is, again, a lot of that identification point in understanding that a warrior is a warrior because you don't find them in a particular modality, right? Like if we are only in a space that we are strong, we're energetically tyrants. If we are too vulnerable, we're too energetically weak. But when we are intentional in relationality to where we put our strength, when we're intentional as it relates to being able to operate in the condition by which we know where to put our strength, but also where to be gentle, we effectively become the protectors of those that we care about, because it is that force of intention that allows for the condition wherein we express our love, not by being ruled by the emotions, but being able to communicate the emotions in ways that are supportive to our intention. This brings us back to a lot of the energy deep within divine union right now. Clarification between our Ace of Swords and our Ace of Wands. There's that Seven of Wands in its reversal. And I feel like there's something really, I keep on seeing, there's something very profound that I'm recognizing and identifying that's happening for a lot of the energy deep within divine union. And I keep on hearing, like, it's the beauty of a changing mind. But you have to understand, and I want you to recognize this too. When we talk about the changing of a mind, we're talking about the expansion of a mind, right? And this is why we talk about the difference between fickleness and pragmatism. Because fickleness is just changing the mind, right? It's changing the mind for the sake of the change, right? And often fickleness, changing for change's sake, change is not a manifestation goal, right? Change is not a manifestation goal. A lot of Geminis come here to work through this. But change is not a manifestation goal, because often when we change for change's sake, what's really happening on the unconscious level is there is an aversion to something, right? A changing for change's sake can sometimes be hiding an aversion to rigor, right? It can hide an aversion to being patient, right? And this is why I was telling you guys, remembering that to a certain extent, make sure that eclipse rules are applying right now. And what are those eclipse rules that we talk about? It's okay to be adaptable right now. It's okay to be spontaneous, okay? Spontaneity is being able to do something that moves one closer to a manifestation goal, right? That feels like that. I keep on hearing that intuitive leap that sparks one closer to a manifestation. What we see that's happening right now that I keep on telling you guys about is make sure you're not making changes right now based on mood swings. Okay. I cannot stress this enough. All right. Because if you've noticed a theme, and I love this right now because this is very Gemini. Typically, you will identify that we've got a bit of a theme that happens here in day to day. There's pretty much a vibe. There's no vibe right now. Every day is different because that is Gemini energy. Okay, that is Gemini energy. It is the ephemera. It is the ephemera of the array. So if you're feeling like you want to change right now, I'm not saying that you cannot facilitate a change. So long as there is as long as you can explain the change, so long as there is intention surrounding the change. Don't tell me right now you're making a change because you feel like this, feel like it, because I guarantee you, and if you do feel like something, give it a minute, okay? If it's a good idea in 5 minutes, it'll be a good idea in 5 hours. It'll be a good idea in a day, because again, there's a lot of the work that we're doing right now as it relates to Gemini lessons, which is, again, the difference between being pragmatic and being fickle is changing based upon mood, okay? All right? And being pragmatic is changing because you see something that allows an energetic pivot, okay? Please, okay? I'm trying to save you a reading, all right? Continuing to get clarification, and that's happening across all the frequencies. And this is why we see even now what is happening. Why are these energies coming into union? Because they're seeing and recognizing. And this is what's really beautiful here. Not only are these energies that are coming together, but I keep on hearing all critique, no criticism, right? What does it mean by all critique and no criticism? When we heal the ego, we can take notes, right? And we can identify the difference between a critique and a criticism. What is a critique, right? A critique is someone that has the template of the self. They hold the template of the self as close to the self as we do. And in those moments that another person is able to critique us, we feel grateful for that, right? Because it's the identification of a blind spot that we could not identify, right? It's like the straightening of the tie. You know what I mean? Like I know what you're going for, right? A critique is like your tie getting straightened. But when we're moving more in the space of a criticism, it's often someone who's giving us feedback that we've never asked for because they don't like what they see. And the perception that they have of us and what we have is very clear, is very different. So that's why I keep on seeing that again, that when I told you the auric contradiction is the critique. It's the positive critique. It's the ability to identify and recognize something that we give to another that feels like it is a gift, not a criticism. And these are the energies that they're moving deeper into partnership because they're saying, you're already giving me gifts, right? You're already giving me gifts, and you're moving that gift to something that moves me closer to my manifestation goal. For energy coming into divine union right now, these are the chariot partnerships that are moving deeper into divine union. Clarification between our Ace of Wands and our chariot in its upright. Can I get one card to clarify? Boom, there's that Knight of Pentacles. Knight of Pentacles. It's like in its reversal. Knight of Pentacles in its reversal. I'm surprised. I'm not surprised to see it, because this is the energy I told you. This is taking off the armor. This is coming into the space of being able to be tender. This is energy that is moving deeper into divine union because they're moving into strength. And moving into the strength card is learning how to be tender. Never have I learned to be stronger than when I learned to surrender and become tender, right? Because tender, and I keep on hearing, tenderness is not weakness, because tender is the choice of becoming, is of surrendering, right? It is tending to the surrender of the self. Tenderness is tending to the surrender of the self. So that space, that this is why the energy is becoming tender, but it's not weakness, it's strength, because they're tending to the journey of surrender. Continuing to get clarification between our chariot card and our Six of Swords in its upright. Boom! Oh my goodness gracious. We've got our Two of Cups here. Man, this is a big alignment day. Big energetic alignment day. And I feel like for a lot of the energy right now, deep within divine union, there's just, I keep on seeing there's something really beautiful that is coming through right now in relationality and identification of how far one has come. And this is what I keep on hearing in the space of, I hear the energy saying, like relationship. And this is like the culmination of a lot of the lessons that we're learning in Gemini season, which is relationship is not a place where we go to stagnate. It's a place we go to transform, right? If you don't want transformation, stay away from healthy relationship. Okay? because that space of transfer, like even in the space of transforming, this is the energy that even understands that the manifestations that they first brought into, right? The manifestations that they first brought into, even the manifestations change, because when we build into a healthy relationship, those are the stakes that get energetically raised, because we raise our manifestations as we raise ourselves, right? The manifestation propels forward even as we do. So this is the energy that may not even recognize the fact that they've reached the culmination of a manifestation, because a good manifestation isn't necessarily one that we feel that we arrive to, but that begins to transform as we approach it. So we see even now that a lot of that ability of being able to raise the manifestation, this is a lot of the energy that's doing that work. And in the space of doing so too do they appreciate and feel the sense of doing it together, right? It is the unification point in feeling that amplification. Continuing to, that's why I told you, and it's funny that I said, like, you remember I said, I feel like a lot of the energy deep within divine union was moving out of justice into wheel of fortune, because this is effectively what that would indicate. Continuing to get clarification right now between our Seven of Wands in its reversal in combination with our Knight of Pentacles in its reversal. There's that Four of Cups in its reversal. And a lot of the energy that I'm seeing that's working through right now, I just keep on identifying, like, I keep, like, I see a lot of energy coming out of separation right now. I'm seeing a lot of energy coming into separation right now. This Venus transferring into Taurus, like, there's some energy right now that's like, I hear the energy saying I'm ready. But like it's like that readiness that we're seeing is the identification point of someone. I keep on seeing of the ability of feeling like, I keep on hearing, this is a counterpart I can trust, because this is a counterpart that sees me clearly even when I cannot see myself clearly. That's why this energy is moving into connection, because that ability of, again, building into the energetic appreciation of a counterpart that feels like they help us see ourselves with more clarity. This is the culmination of a lot of those magician partnerships. And that's why I keep on hearing that this energy is like feeling that, I keep on hearing like feeling that force, like feeling that force of steadiness, feeling that force of energetic fortitude, because this is the energy that I keep on identifying, like feels like it's like they almost like they feel that same strength, right? They feel that strength that is the strength card that we see that is coming through right now, as it relates to the energy that, like, they're already feeling the strength of arriving into the energy that is coming into divine union, because the energy coming into divine union is working through the strength that says, never have I been stronger than bringing vulnerability to the self with the force of intention, which is the tenderness of saying that I'm tending to my energetic surrender. While for masculine and feminine deep within divine union right now, clarification between our Knight of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Two of Cups in its upright. There's that five. There's a Five of Wands, right? And the Five of Wands, like, that's the thing I keep on seeing with a lot of this energy deep within divine union. There's something, I got to point this out. There's something incredibly, there's something like, there's something incredibly jubilant that's happening right now for energy deep within divine union, because I keep on seeing that a lot of that jubilance is the, how do I describe this best? It's like I keep on seeing that it's working into the context of understanding that when we move, like, often it's indicative of the fact that when we move towards manifestation, right? I keep on hearing it's the manifestation that we move towards, and even as we move towards it, it changes, right? It's like I keep on hearing it's the fragmentation of the manifestation, which is not the, I keep on hearing it's not the, I need to stress this is not the energy deep within divine union that is changing, like changing the manifestation completely. It is the multifaceted manifestation, right? The manifestation that becomes more complex as we approach it, right? So that ability of I keep on hearing, it's the refinement process that happens when we're working towards the array, that as we approach it, it becomes more multifarious, right? So that's why I keep on hearing it's the expansion of the manifestation, not the dissolution of it, right? It's that expansion point. So, and again, it's like the way I'm seeing it is it's like working through the Gemini energy, because again, Gemini, facets, right? So what do we see when we're in Gemini energy? We see the energetic array of the facets of the possibilities that open up to us, which is indicative of the fact that we're moving towards a manifestation goal. Continuing to get, and like, again, I like this because it's this right here, this is kaleidoscope energy. All right. I want you to look at this, right? And because this basically says, these two cards together says, when we look, right, things are not simple. Because when we look through the telescope, right, when we look through the single telescope, we see the possibilities, right? It's the simplicity that leads to further complexity. So this is basically kaleidoscope energy. Final card for today's spread, between our Four of Cups in its reversal and our Five of Wands in its upright. May I please have one card to clarify? 10 of Pentacles in its reversal. So one of the things that we're identifying and recognizing that's happening right now is there's something very important that we're identifying in relationality to and this is really intriguing. The thing for a lot of the energy deep, I would not be surprised if there's a lot of energy deep within divine union right now that is saying, what do we do now? I feel like there's energy going, what do we do now? Right? Because there's a lot of, like, I keep on seeing that there's a lot of that, often, like, this is a type of energy that allows for new manifestations to arrive, right? And often when we have those new manifestations, it's that ability of, I keep on seeing looking at the possibilities to try to identify what it is that we're energetically seeking. But I see even now, I would not be surprised if a lot of that energy is going inward, right? Because the healthy manifestation is not one that we look outside of the self to articulate what it is that we see. Sometimes it brings up a lot of frustration because the healthy manifestation often begins in trying to identify what is energetically missing, right? It's working into the context of, right? And this is why it's really important that we look. I keep on hearing we have to approach our frustration with curiosity. Why should we always approach our frustration with curiosity, right? Because it is, I keep on hearing, it is that exploration of the self, right? That introspection that leads us to identify, and this is, and I keep on hearing, it's creative energy. Because often I keep on hearing creative energy starts with saying something's missing, right? Like creative energy starts with something is missing, right? It's working into, it's like, it's working into that space. And so I keep on hearing that when we're able to navigate our frustration, we open up the possibility of what is possible. But this is why it's so important that we heal our relationship to frustration. Because when we, this is what I meant about the difference between pragmatism and fickleness, right? Because when we're fickle, We're like, I don't like this. I don't like this, right? We go, I don't like this. I don't like this, right? We don't like anything, but like it's not, and the universe goes, well, what would be better? Like, like we're going around going, I don't like this, and the universe is going, like, I'm open to suggestions, right? Like it's like that is not the moment. It's like when we encounter our frustration and we don't say to ourselves, I'd rather not, right? But when we look at it in terms of being like feeling the frustration that is the call to create, right? That is the universe going, I'm open to suggestions, right? Because that is the space of being able to collaborate with the universe that wants to work with us, right? So you got to be collaborative as it relates to your frustration, which is not working to aversion that goes, nothing satisfies me. Yeah, well then maybe you need to make something new. You know what I mean? It's like being creative with the frustration that allows for the possibilities to expand, right? It's a lot of that, it's like, I keep on hearing, it's like, if you don't have the right color in the paint box, make a new color, right? It's like, you don't just, that's why I keep saying to you guys, like, no board flipper energy right now. Don't tell me you're moving away from something right now and you're going, because I didn't feel like it, right? Allow it to be the space by which you're able to be energetically constructive. And for a lot of the energy right now, I just keep on seeing that working into that context, this is why, right? This is why a lot of that energy right now, I see a lot of energy like moving deeper into union today, because it is the feeling of, I keep on hearing, the complementary construction. And what is the complementary construction? Right? The complementary construction for a lot of the energy right now in separation. I told you a lot of these relationships, they were seeking authenticity as their prioritization point. So that ability of being able to recognize and identify, to be able to find something, to see something that one could not see before, right? This is often, I told you, this is why these are magician partnerships that are forming right now, because that complementary construction is the ability to be able to have someone tell you something about the self that feels like it is supportive to the architecture of the self, right? It's like, here, like, you might need this, right? It's a lot of that, like, it's a lot of that ability. And so I keep on seeing that this is why I keep on hearing that there's a lot of the energy that's coming out moving deeper into union today via the recognizing like that supportive architecture, or the relationship by which, again, it doesn't feel like, again, what happens when we have criticism, right? When we have criticism that's not supportive to the self, it feels like someone's trying to knock our pillars down, right? But when someone is trying to help us with something, it feels like they're helping to build our pillars up. They're helping us to see something that we couldn't see before. They're helping us to arrive to something that we couldn't arrive to before. So I keep on seeing that this is a lot of the energy that is healing from past relationships where it felt like they were being knocked down all the time, right? Like the energy that's like feels like you're constantly being pushed off of your axis, right? Constantly being knocked off your center, versus the energy that's learning the supportive conversation, right? The same kind of force of someone giving them a note, but a note that feels like it shores up something that you're working on, feels like it helps you build something in a way that's stronger. So this is why I keep on hearing this energy. It's like I keep on hearing the energy say, it was after that conversation I knew, right? That affirmation point and being able to identify and recognize something that feels like it is it's helping to integrate the healing because it feels supportive to the structure of the self. While for masculine and feminine coming into divine union, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to, I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy coming into divine union right now, this is again that same work. But the appreciation point that we're identifying that's happening for a lot of this energy that's moving deeper into union right now, from the energy that was coming into divine union, this is the energy that is understanding, like they're integrating they're integrating those lessons of strength, which is the observation. And this is why we say, don't come to relationship if you don't want to learn how to be vulnerable. Okay, because the same standards, right? The same standards that we work to erect before we come into union, right? Those standards, the honoring the boundaries and the standards that help us identify our energetic counterpart, are also the ones we work to resolve and heal from in healthy union to allow for closer connection, right? So there's a lot of energy right now moving deeper into divine union by healing those intimacy wounds. Meanwhile, we've got a lot of the energy deep within divine union right now that is working into the space of, again, I keep on saying, change of plans. I hear them saying change of plans, but they're throwing confetti when they say it. They're going, change of plans, but they're throwing confetti. Why are they saying change of plans, but they're throwing confetti? Because when we have a change of plans, right, that feels like an energetic celebration, that is the arrival of the manifestation goal in the space that the manifestation changes, because we're not moving away from a manifestation. We are enhancing the manifestation because we see something that we could not see before. And that is, again, the change that feels like it brings with it a sense of celebration. Bottom of the deck on today's reading. High Priestess in the bottom of the deck. So let's talk a little bit. This is Cancer season coming up. This is Cancer season coming up. So let's talk a little bit about the High Priestess in the bottom of the deck. Because, one of the things I'm identifying that's happening, especially it's like a little bit of that type of energy. All right, I'm gonna walk you guys through what we're seeing right now. So for masculine and feminine energy, that is, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to. There's and this is just something that needs to come up. We just need to discuss it. When we are working towards our manifestations, it requires a lot of, I keep on hearing, a lot of release of frustration. I would not be surprised if you told me right now that you're feeling very short-tempered or you're feeling very impatient, specifically and particularly because, I just need to point this out. We got all this energy right now in Gemini, and I've got a lot of energy right now in Aries. And Gemini and Aries are not necessarily known for being the most patient of signs. Why? Because, again, it has to do with the fact that for Aries often comes here to heal the relationship of time. They've got little tiny bit of patience is all they get. They show up here with this much, right? They got a little tiny bit of patience and they're working. And Aries recognizes that they can increase patience with progress, right? Then when Aries sees progress, they get really excited because they're like, oh, look, my patience is getting bigger. They're like, oh, this is great, right? Like, Aries is like, oh, progress. I can see the patience getting bigger. So they get very excited about that, right? But that's why often Aries are like, I don't have time for this. I gotta go. There's no greater offense to an Aries in feeling like if you waste an Aries time, God, you know what I mean? Like, oh man, that's why Aries, they're like, that's a criminal offense, right? Because, and likewise with Gemini, right? With Gemini is always trying to see if they can do more with less time. Gemini is always like, how can we do this faster? How can we do two things instead of one thing at once, two things at once? Instead of two things at once, three things at once, right? Gemini are always trying to take the time and they're like, what if we we make more with same time? And that's why Gemini often can be impatient, because Gemini are often looking at things and being like, there's something else I could be doing right now. So that's why I keep on saying it's not the fact that you cannot make changes right now. That's why I keep on saying eclipse rules apply right now. It's not because Don't come to me for a reading in a few days and say, I did something I should not have done because I was feeling impatient. I'm like, well, and I don't know. I'm gonna be like, I know why. Like, I know why. Like, I know why. Make sure that you're changing with intention, right? Make sure that there's clarification in relationality to what that is. And if you're not sure, okay, if you're not sure about that right now, right? If you're feeling like a change, remember, ask yourself why. Because when we're navigating, change can be positive and constructive, or it can move us backwards. And often it has to do with being able to navigate the space between the higher self and the ego, okay? And if you're ever unsure about that, we're going to go through the same thing that we talk about, right? When we feel like making a change, right? And it's moving more from the space of the ego, what does the ego say? When you say, why do you want to do that? Because I want to. Because I want to. Because I want to. Okay. And often, like, it's not like, like that's not a manifestation goal. Okay. Because I want to. Because I want to is not a manifestation goal. Okay. The higher self always has a reason, right? The higher self says, sit down. How much time you got? I'll tell you why. Let me explain to you. Like, let's work through it, right? So that ability, like if you're feeling like that right now, and if you're unsure about something that you want to do, give yourself a minute, okay? Give yourself a minute. If it's a good idea now, it'll be a good idea in 5 minutes. It'll be a good idea in 5 hours. And it does not mean that you can't be spontaneous, but make sure that you're being spontaneous with intention. Because even here, I see that like, and I want to say even now, like I also want to point this out, with all of this energy in Gemini, it's really easy to misunderstand things. It's very easy to get your wires crossed about stuff. It's very easy to get hyperbolic. Don't assume things until you clarify them, right? Make sure that you're working in the context of, I keep on hearing, understanding, not just listening, which is coming through, which says, it's that space of like, almost like, can you please repeat to me what I just said to you? You know what I mean? Like, it's like that. And if you feel like you're having a conversation in that way, where you feel like you're not being heard, I feel like the thing you have to say is, can you please repeat to me what you heard me say? Right? Like, to make sure that even in the spaces of communication, there's clarity as it relates to intention. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and receiving these messages. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can do so on my website. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Also, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message for you. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site. So I would encourage you to do it there. Also, a couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended our recent class on the death card. Our next class will be held on Wednesday next week, June 11th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the Temperance card. If you would like to become a part of our tarot class program, all you need to do is mosey on over to my Substack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. Also, as a monthly subscriber, you will have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library Archive. Now, it's not necessary to catch up. I do my best to give you all the updates I can before we get started on the class, but now's a good time to join. You got a few days if you want to catch up on a few classes before we get started. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything we have studied or are currently studying. And if you become a founding member not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, you will also receive full access to the entirety of the Tarot Church Library Archive. That is access to over 14 hours worth of material in an ever expanding library. You will also have access to a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me if you choose to receive it, wherein I will meet with you personally to assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage towards your personal tarot goals. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in these classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule. You'll also receive updates like my Mystic Meditation articles. I just recently posted one this morning to help you navigate how the Sagittarius full moon that we have coming up in just a few days. I also want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my clients seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I am also very happy to now offer dream interpretation readings. You can purchase these on an individual level per dream or as a series. Now, if you purchase the series, I want you to start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again Monday.